see you all here. Hopefully you can hear me okay. And a bit later on, of course, you get the chance to ask the questions. I've got plenty up my sleeve, but I'd rather you were asking them instead of me, to be honest with you. So we love to hear from as many people as possible. This is the first in the new game changer era for Ipswich, of course. Tonight's event is also being streamed live, so hopefully you're not with someone you shouldn't be, because it's going out on our YouTube channel. It's another first for the club as well. And we start what will be a regular event in the club's calendar with the three men at the very top of this wonderful football club, the manager, the chairman and the CEO. Would you please welcome Paul Cook, Mike O'Leary and Mark Ashton. Well, before we start proper, gentlemen, I've been a town fan since January 1969, just before Bobby Robson took over. And of course, we have seen lots of highs and in more recent times, sadly, lots of lows. So I'm sure everyone here would join me in welcoming you to Portman Road again and also wishing you all the very best for this season and for many, many years to come. Thank you. So the format tonight is very simple. We've got Paul, Mike and Mark here to take your questions. And please bear in mind that Mark has only been here for 6 or 7 weeks, so he's still very much learning about the club, the infrastructure, how it works. So he might not be able to cover every question in detail. And what we'd like you to do is to raise your hand if you want to ask a question, and I'll get to as many of you as I possibly can. Now, before we get to the first question from yourselves, I've got one for the chairman, Mike, that has been sent in. Mike, you said when you first arrived at the club that the goal was to get to the Premier League. Have you got a time scale for that one?
Well, that was one of the first questions that I think what the BBC asked. And the answer was, look, we've put a budget together which we're pretty confident is going to make us competitive in the current league. And I think there's good evidence of that already. And that budget will be, it will enable us to invest both on and off the pitch to make improvements in the team and in the infrastructure. If we're fortunate enough to get into the championship in short order, we will revisit that budget position. And our investors, I know, are very keen that we should look at how we can maintain a competitive position. And we'll be looking then to rethink what do we need to do, what do we need to put in place to have a good shout at getting up another league. So it's a bit of a cheat answer. I'm not giving you strict timescales because a lot depends on how you get on. You know, we may have gone up last year if we'd had a bit of luck, and that would have changed the timescales completely. But realistically, you've got to think that with some of the players that we've seen arriving in the last few weeks, we're going to have a strong side this year and we're going to have a good chance. But you can never count your chickens and you can never say it's nailed on. And if it takes a number of years, so be it. And I know that our investors are very content that we are patient and we build something that is sustainable. And that's very important.
And when you look out onto the pitch here, and that's got Premier League written all over it, hasn't it?
Well, it has, but we're going to dig it up at the end of this year.
But that's the pitch for the forthcoming season.
The pitch looks fantastic. It really does. And I actually took a little walk out there an hour ago, and the quality of the cutting, the quality of the whole finish of it is really, really special. But that said, it won't do if we aspire to be Premier League. We're going to have to look at having Desso-type pitches that have undersoil heating and so on and so forth. But let's hope we have that problem in not too distant future.
Let's hope so. Thank you very much indeed for now. I've got my roving mic here. I think we borrowed it from Rod Stewart after his last concert here a few years ago. It's one of these boom mics. And it's for me to sort of come amongst you and get a few questions. So if you'd like to put your hand up, if you'd like to ask questions, we'd love to hear from you. What I'll do, gentlemen there, very quick, I'll be with you in just a sec. I'll stay in the same area for a little while and obviously move around as much as I can to get as many questions as possible. So let's join the guy in the Feiston shirt now, which takes us back more than a few years. You don't look old enough. Can I have your name and who you'd like the question to?
It's Joe Fairs. I think the question's to Mark Ashton. But we've recently sold a number of sort of younger players. I was just wondering, are we well protected with sort of sell-on fees for those players and along the lines of that? And also, is there any plans for the academy to upgrade to Category 1?
Good evening, everyone. Nice to meet you. The first point is, yes, I think, look, we're quite experienced in what I would call player trading. So when we sell someone, we make sure that we've got a value in the market. So the short answer is absolutely yes. To when we sell young players, or we sell any player, we make sure that we've got a value that protects us moving forward. The academy piece is a really interesting one. It intrigues me why people think Cat 1 is a wonderful thing. It's a possibility. It doesn't particularly excite me. What's more important is how we develop players through our youth system that are ready for Paul Cook's first team as quickly as possible. We're Cat 2, which is really important because that protects us from a value perspective. So if we sell or a club tries to take one of our youngsters, we have a financial set of parameters that are in place. Cat 1 is something really, other than the games programme, there is very little difference. Oh, has that gone? You hear me? There's very little difference between what we have at Cat 2 and Cat 1. I'm more interested in how we get those young players ready for Paul's team, and that includes expanding our loan programme. I want to have a quality of player in the academy and 23s, not a quantity. So I don't want to warehouse players just for the sake of keeping them. We've got to have real quality that get ready and are competitive for Paul's first team. And we'll be looking at the whole academy and the under-23s and the development system moving forward, because it's something that's going to be really, really important to us.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Mark, you've been here for a month and a half now. Have your feet touched the ground yet?
I've certainly gone grey, I know that.
He's catching me up.
It's been a whirlwind. It's been great. And I keep saying this, thank you to everyone who's been so kind and so welcoming to myself and my team and my staff. Just out and about in the community, the fan base has been absolutely fantastic. And we're really appreciative of that because it's new to us, and it's busy. It's long hours for everyone at the minute, but we're really excited by it, and we think that we can positively help to make a difference. So yeah, it's been great.
And Paul, it's pretty clear to us all that you and Mark get on really well, built up a good relationship so soon.
Yeah, I think so. It's obviously I've met Mark before at our previous clubs and spoke to him before. I think we met in a lift at Middlesbrough once, Mark, didn't we?
That's true.
When Bristol City were playing Middlesbrough, and said hello. And it's a really important relationship at a football club. I'm sure at some points we won't always agree on decisions, but certainly to date we speak everything through. We're very clear about what we want, and certainly from Mark and the ownership, Michael, there's a clear plan at this football club, and it's a good plan.
Lovely. Let's take a few more questions from the floor. Gentleman here with his hand sort of up. Okay, what's your name and who would you like a question to?
Yes, my name is Joey. This is a bit of an open question, really, so feel free to take it. Before I ask, I just wanted to say thank you as well for kind of igniting and making Ipswich Town a bit of an exciting place to be again. I know a ball hasn't been kicked just yet, but I think everyone here would agree that it's been certainly an exciting summer for the first time, and since me sort of being a young Ipswich Town fan. So this question, I'm not sure if you guys have seen it on social media. Mark looks like he's got a pretty mean Instagram page himself. He's a pretty suave guy. But there's been a lot of discussions from rival fans, especially Portsmouth, calling Ipswich Town Checkbook FC. I wanted to get I'm sure you probably have heard about that, but I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Paul and I actually had a chuckle about it the other day, in fairness, because someone did point that out to us. I used the word player trading at the start. we've had a couple of players that have gone out, and we think we've taken good value in the current market for them, and we're protected, as the gentleman said, moving forward. And that doesn't just include, a percentage of a sell-on. That includes additional payments on games, appearances, etc. So we're happy with the deals that we've done. And I think what people forget, that we've sold as well as bought, and we have moved out one hell of a lot of salary, because we have a salary cap, if you like, to work to. We have a salary set of protocols that we must adhere to. We do that. So we've had to move out to move in. And probably moving some of the players out has been as challenging as bringing some of them in. So, look, all we're going to do is focus on us. Ipswich Town is the priority. Let's just focus on what we do. Let's control what we can do. It makes me chuckle, because I think if people are talking about us like that, we might be concerning one or two.
It's also worth saying that we are within the budget we set, so we're not being stupid.
Yeah, again, from a manager's point of view, I think it's always ironic when other managers speak about us, isn't it? They always say we're not really interested in what other clubs are doing, but they're speaking about us. So obviously they are interested in what we're doing. So from a manager's point of view, we will never focus on any other teams in our league. We know historically big clubs have been in this league. Do you know, when I was managing Wigan, for example, Sunderland paid £4 million for Will Grigg. Big clubs in divisions will be big clubs. I feel Ipswich Town now are acting like a big club, and that's exactly what we want to deliver for you fans.
And in many ways, a global club now, thanks in no small part to Ed Sheeran. But what are your respective views on Ed Sheeran's involvement? It can only be a great thing.
Oh, just incredible. It's almost like a perfect storm. I can't thank him enough for his genuine support and passion for the football club. It's just incredible. And you're absolutely right in what you've said. It opens the club up to a global audience. I sat with my 12-year-old daughter Evie, and we watched the TikTok concert, and it was Ipswich Town, and it was across the whole globe. So it's fantastic.
Paul, are you an Ed Sheeran fan? I bet you are now.
We are now.
I've got no choice, have I? Certainly in my family, my daughter, my missus and that, they're all massive Ed Sheeran fans. I think they all want to meet Ed Sheeran before they want to meet anyone else down here, and I think it's exciting. I think the players are delighted. From what I've only heard about Ed, everything's been very, very positive. Do you know how much he just loves coming to Portman Road and just genuinely loves supporting Ipswich Town Football Club? I think with the sponsorship and the deals he's done with the club, I think it's really good. I think the media coverage it gives us is great. And hopefully we can now give him some really good days when he comes down here to enjoy as well.
And he will be here pretty often, I should think.
We hope so.
Let's hope so. And there is talk, of course, of perhaps Ed Sheeran making some investment in the club as well as sponsoring the shirts. What about that, Mike?
Well, we haven't talked directly about that, I must confess. But if I go back to when we first closed this deal, the Three Lions, in particular Brett Johnson, was shocked by how global the support of Ipswich was at that point. And that's before we had the arrangement announced with Ed. But the announcement with Ed Sheeran has taken it up another level. And I mean, there are millions, if not billions, of people around the planet who know him and are now thinking, Ipswich, I'll look them up and see what they're doing. And it really has helped to really solidify the fact we've got a global following, which is great news.
What I haven't actually told Ed yet is that we've signed 2 players this summer, and he's promised to sing at one of their family events. I haven't mentioned that to him, but I probably need to, because I put it in their contracts.
And knowing Ed, he'd do it. OK, let's have another question from the floor. Any hands about to go up for the next question? Don't be shy now. Gentleman right at the back. This is as much exercise I've had for a long, long time. Okay.
Hi, I'm Mark from the dark side of the county line. So it's been a pretty tough few years in Norfolk, being an Ipswich fan. But welcome to the club, gentlemen. If you turn it around, we'll be pretty much unstoppable. So welcome. We haven't had a chance to welcome you properly. The couple of questions to Paul. What's your preferred formation? Because we haven't had a chance really to see it in the flesh. And secondly, the really difficult one. If we get Liverpool in the cup, who do you want to win?
Lovely to meet you as well. Thank you very much for the welcome. My preferred formation is 4-2-3-1. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's a formation I've always played. It was only at Ipswich Town latterly last year when I had to change due to certain criteria within the squad. You know, I enjoy playing the formation. I've played it at all the clubs. It's a formation that I really enjoy. I think it can be an adaptable formation. I think at Portman Road this year, I think we'll have to play a second striker a lot, you know, when teams come, because I'd expect us to get teams defending deep and defending the edge of the box, and we've got to, you know, create chances with crosses into the box. So we've got to be a little bit flexible with our formations, without a doubt, you know, especially due to the opposition, but not due to stop the opposition, due to how we win. You know, we won't take a backward step. You know, that was something that I really struggled with last year. Do you know that we were taking backward steps against teams that we shouldn't be taking backward steps against? Do you know, we mightn't win games this year, we mightn't be as successful as I want us to be, but we won't take a backward step. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Just a quick word about what it's like supporting Ipswich in Norfolk. It can't be easy.
It's not easy at all. There's full of budgies in my village and I work with them every day, and it's been a tough 13, 14 years, but there's a little bit of Norfolk that is always blue. And even my kids, I made sure, were born in Suffolk, not Norfolk.
Well done. Great to hear it. Thank you. Let's move on to another town fan at the back here.
Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome. My question is, I've supported the town since 1965. And I was lucky enough to go to Wembley in '78. So Paul, will you be taking cup competitions seriously this year? Because I think I speak on behalf of all fans. We've been really disappointed. But to the top tabling in particular, are you going to get out and about in the community? Because this community cares about our football club.
Do you want to answer the latter question, Mark?
The community piece is a really important question. I'm so glad you've asked it, and the answer is absolutely. You know, if you like, we've bought the asset, which is the football club. We don't own the football club. The community own the football club. We are custodians of the football club. Let's be really clear on that. And at all the football clubs I've worked at, the word community and how we work in our community has been really, really important to me, and it won't change here. We've got a lot of work to do. We had a community trust, I've been told, that was disbanded some years ago, and we've got a new community trust that's in its infancy. But we want to work in all aspects of our community, and that isn't just about players and staff turning up at soccer courses for a photo with the children. This is real work, whether that's in education, you know, well-being, health. You know, it doesn't matter. We need to engage in our community, because we need our community and our community needs us, and only together can we take this football club forward. So it's something that Mike and Paul and our investors in the US are so passionate about. Don't get me wrong, when Mike and I talk to our colleagues in the US, we talk about the team a lot, but trust me, they equally talk about the investment into community and how we work in our local community. So yes, and definitely yes.
The answer to your question on the cup competitions is always a very, very interesting one. I think if you look at the league campaigns and how they are now, you know, we're going to go into a 46-game campaign. I think even when I took over at Portsmouth, it was very interesting that, you know, we go into great detail about the travelling away from home, the journeys on a coach, you know, the recovery time for games. You know, the in-depth analysis now to performance is huge. So from a manager's point of view, you know, this year we want to be promoted. You know, there's nothing else in our radar other than promotion. So that's top of the list. The FA Cup then is very much second in the list. Historically, it's a great competition to be in. As the gentleman asked before, if we do get Liverpool, we will field a weakened team, guys, unfortunately. That's life. But that's just a one-off. I think as you fall into then the Carabao Cup and the Johnson's Paints as such, I think you will see us make changes in them competitions due to the fact that we will prioritise the other competitions. That doesn't mean if you look at the Newport game, for example, at home, we will have a very strong team out against Newport, but it mightn't be the strongest team. If we could get 3 points against Morecambe, 3 points at Burton and win at Cheltenham, for example, we'll be top of the league, and we want to stay top of the league. So the reality to your question is, league, unbelievably number 1, FA Cup number 2, Carabao Cup, and then Johnson's Paints 4th.
Yeah, Paul, those certainly the Papa John Trophy, as it is now, isn't it? Very important for the younger members of the squad, I would imagine.
It's just a really good debate, because you end up, we got to the final when I was at Chesterfield, we lost to Peterborough 3-1, and we went on to go up that year, but we felt it really hindered our promotion push. We were cancelling games to play games, we were fielding players. So the reality is, if you could actually go and compete and win both, then what a good day out at Wembley is to win a football game. Unbelievably. It was a great day at Wembley for me, but we lost. But I actually felt with the squad, it probably hindered. So the reality is, to them competitions, we'll probably see as we go, if we be truthful. If there's an opportunity to win games, we want to win football games. There's no better habit in football than winning. I was so pleased the other night, I said to Mark after the game that we equalised at Colchester. We don't want to be getting beat at Colchester, under no circumstances. So as you can say, it is opportunities for younger players. Through the academy and the 23s, a lot of our younger lads have been jettisoned to the first team too quickly now. The reason they've been jettisoned is because the first team aren't very good. Hopefully going forward, them days will end. Our younger lads will aspire to be like the players in the first team. They'll have role models they're looking up to, not players that they're better than. We've just got that a little bit in balance wrong, but we're in the process of correcting that now.
And Mike and Mark, it's very important, is it not, for the fans to come in for these cup matches, for the financial side of things?
Of course it is, and money makes the world go around in football. That's maybe not what we all want to hear, but it's true. And just tie that back for a second into community. We're the only club in this county, and if you look around, you go an awfully long way before you find a club that's anywhere near the same size as this. If you go south, you don't find another one until you get to West Ham. And that's a heck of a long way. And we do get support from Essex, we do get support from the home counties in general, as well as East Anglia. And that's a much broader community than perhaps you might immediately think when you think about Ipswich. And that's one of the attractions for the investors that have backed us. This is a club with a big fan base. And that's terrific. The fan base is just critical if you're going to have the momentum and the ability, the firepower to take it forward. And as Paul has already said, that's showing up now in this league. We can afford to do things that the others that are smaller than us can't. And that should give us an advantage. We hope it does.
And believe me, there's no better sight here than seeing 30,000 people seated watching a game of football here, because they're going to take the roof off the place when the season starts. I can assure you all it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. So I'm looking forward to the first game against Morecambe. And Mark, I mean, that will in some ways be a cup final for Morecambe, won't it? Newly promoted, playing at a stadium like this.
I think we're going to find that a lot, because it is a big club with an amazing stadium. And as Paul said, there will be teams that come here to try and make it very, very difficult for us. And I wouldn't dream of getting involved in the technical side and the tactical side. That's Paul's area. But yeah, people will come here, and it will be a cup final to many. We've got to be ready for that. I keep talking about togetherness. We can't do it on our own. The fans can't do it on their own. The players can't. We can only do it together. And I think one of the things that we have to do, and we have the ability to do this now with fans coming back after COVID, is make Portman Road a real fortress, really create an atmosphere that's passionate, and with the fans getting behind the team and Paul, I think that could be a real benefit to us.
Let's take some more questions from the floor now. Any hands going up? One here. Can I have your name and question, please?
Hi, thanks. I'm Nick, and I'm interested in the psychology behind football, and just interested to get your views, all of you really, on how you go about building the resilience within the club, because us fans have been a bit long-suffering for a long time now, and I know personally at the end of every season I've really debated hard on whether to renew that season ticket, and a lot has happened, and I'm just wondering, how are you going to get over this whole swing of emotions where we win a couple of games and we're like, yeah, we're going to win the league, and then we lose a game and we're going to get relegated, and it's a bit of a nightmare.
I'm definitely not answering that one.
Nick, I think is it Nick?
Yeah.
Nick, nice to meet you. That's a really interesting question. And the challenge for us, and I've 30 years plus in this industry, I've had in different roles, and the most difficult piece that I have to manage is emotion. The staff, the players, the manager, myself, the board. And the challenge is not to get too high when we win and not to get too low when we lose. Anyone who sits close to the director's box will have some fun when they see me on a match day. Paul's not pleased because we're so close to him. And that gives me the ability to shout at him, or shout to him, should I say. I think resilience is a really good word, and one of the things that I'm talking to consistently with staff about, both on and off the pitch, and with Paul, I'm addressing the players on culture at 9:30 in the morning and our internal behaviours and what that looks like. But standards, for me, it starts with standards. It's doing the little things right. You know, in the morning, if you can't get up and make your bed, if you can't wash the cups up, and if you can't then be trusted to do the little things, how can you be trusted to do the big things? And that is about driving standards and discipline right through the football club, both on and off the pitch. So my staff, I'm telling them every day, if you see a piece of litter, pick it up. Now, you might think that's not an important analogy, but it is. Because if we can't do the little things right off the pitch, we can't do the big things right on the pitch. And Paul's got to trust that his defenders make sure that they're marking the people when we defend a corner in the first minute of the game. I've got to trust that my staff are selling the tickets correctly, the commercial activities are right, the seats are clean, the pitch is cut to the right length. So it runs right through the football club, and it starts with standards. Disciplined thoughts, disciplined actions, disciplined process. If we can stick to that kind of discipline, we'll manage the highs and we'll manage the lows. Nick, thank you. That's a really, really good question, and I hope I've answered that in a sensible way. But it is a big challenge, and we've got to make sure we all together stay strong through a 46-game season.
Can I add a couple of bits to that? I think that Mark talked about emotion. And one of the key characteristics that he and I have talked about over many years that makes a successful management group in a football club is the ability to take emotion out of key decisions. If you are at a club where the owner is drawn into spending more than he should because of the emotion of wanting to win, but not necessarily spending wisely, and I'm not saying that here at all, I'm saying that generally, then you've got a problem. If you can take emotion out of that decision making and make it logical and make it clear and avoid mistakes, you've got a much better chance of being a successful club, business, call it whatever you like. And I think the second thing that really matters is strength of character. And if you have two equivalent teams or people in terms of talent and everything else, but one has a stronger character than the other, we all know who's going to win. And that's what makes the difference.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Mike and Mark. Let's take another question from the floor. I can come over there, no problem at all. And see what we've got coming from this side of the room, and I'll stay here for a bit longer so that I can take some from this side as well. Okay. It was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, good.
Hi, it's Rich. I've got a question here for Mark regards to the women's team. Obviously, we've signed 4 girls on professional. I'm just wondering, is there plans for any women's games at Portman Road going forward?
This season, probably not, and the reason for that is the pitch. If we've got this time next season, we've got a Deso and a modern pitch in that will withstand the games, then we can certainly play a number of games here. But right now, the pitch wouldn't stand it. I mean, we're looking at how we control half-time activities, how we control the winter games, the 23s games that we have to play here for the EPPP programme. The pitch, the ground staff tell me the investment we've made on the feeding programme is better now than it was this time last year. But it's going to be a key part of Paul's team's success. So I'd love to be able to have more women's games on the pitch, but we need to have a multi-purpose pitch in place to withstand that. And I'd like to think that this time next season we're sitting here with a pitch that is a modern pitch.
Okay, happy with that, Richard?
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. Let's move on to a bit further back.
Hiya, my name's Brian. Welcome to the club. Just wondering if you've got a plan to deal with the negativity that will come your way if we start losing, because we've got to lose games. And you've seen the last few managers that have been at this club and how they've been treated by the press, the radio, and the fans. What's your plans to keep us all happy?
What did you say you were drinking?
I think one of the cultures of football today now is the negativity that fans carry in a stadium. I think from when I grew up as a kid, and I can only remember going to Anfield as a kid, our job was to lift the team and support the team. And as years have transpired now, it's become more of where people sometimes want to let all the negative emotions come out towards the players and the staff. And I think we should take ourselves back sometimes. I think the bosses of a football club should be trusted to make the right decisions for your supporters, and everyone's got a part to play. If the team aren't doing well, that'll be addressed. If the management aren't doing well, that'll be addressed. Our supporters must get behind the team, the players and the staff. And you can be the extra man. When I was at Portsmouth fans thought they were the extra man. At times, they were the 12th man for the opposition through their negativity towards their own players. We can't let that happen at Ipswich Town Football Club. The time to debate a football match is after the referee blows the final whistle, not during the game. During the game, let's give all our players the utmost support we can, because that will lift them.
Michael, Mark, want to add to that?
Again, I think it's a really good question. It's an honest question, and I like that. Someone said to me, I'm 40 days in, and I think the average is we've signed a player every 4 days or something like that. We haven't stopped yet. There are more players to come before the end of the window. Let's be clear about that. But this is a new squad. This is a new team. And be fair to those lads, it is going to take Paul, his staff and the players a little bit. We all want to get out the blocks and win the first 10 games. But seasons are built. Promotion trophies aren't handed out, in August. They're handed out in April, May at the end of the season. And over a 46-game season, we have to deliver. But seasons are built. And the reality is it will take these lads a little bit of time to settle. But I think, and I would hope, on what I've seen so far of the fan base is, as long as the lads are committed, the team are committed, and they're giving the performances that the supporters would expect, that they'll stay with the team. Because that's really important, because the gentleman who just asked a question, he's absolutely right. We're not going to win everything, that's for absolute sure. We'll have highs and we'll have lows. But we've got to create this genuine togetherness. And this isn't meant to be disrespectful to anyone who's been at the club in any role historically, but there feels a distance between the fans and the club. And one of the reasons that we're here tonight is to start to bring that back together. Because if we can do that, we'll only be stronger. And when we do hit the hard times, we'll stay together. And I think that togetherness is what will see us through the 46 games. And I promise you this, win, lose or draw, this team and the team that's behind this team and the staff that are at the back of the room will give everything they've got to move this football club forward and be successful. That's the one thing I can look you all in the eye. You will get everything we've got to take this club forward, I promise.
Mike, do you fancy adding to that?
I got maybe a couple of little tiny bits to add on. I think my colleagues have given very good answers, but I think I would say that emotion comes back into this. And in so many elements of football, emotion plays a part. If we win the first 4 games, we've got to keep level-headed. We mustn't think we've won the league if we win the first 4 games. If we lose the first 4 games, we mustn't be thinking about giving up the ghost, because, as Mark has said, seasons are built. And it's funny how if you're in the shake-up by November, December time, it's after that when the quality teams start to relentlessly win game after game after game, and you see them pull away. And you're building that platform in the early part of the season. And the key thing is not to be too far adrift of it. But as long as you're in the shake-up come November, December, you've got a pretty good chance, especially when you've got the squad strength that we're looking to build. So, yeah, I think emotion's important. And I think Mark made a very good point too about people trying their very hardest, and we'll bust a gut. There won't be anything we'll leave that we haven't looked at and tried to make us better than everybody else. And I've said before, we've got to be better than the other 23 teams at everything we do, and that's important. And if we're making that effort, I think we can hold our heads high to say we've done our very best, and that's important.
Thank you for that. Any more questions from this side?
Hiya, Harvey here. Welcome to the club, to the 3 of you. It's sort of suggested to us all, Paul, that you're not going to be appointing an assistant manager. Like, what's the thinking behind that? And are you ready to step into the roles that perhaps an assistant manager would offer?
Yeah, good question. Obviously, previously, I'd worked with Liam Richardson, I think it was for 9 years, with other members of staff at Wigan Athletic and previously at Portsmouth and Chesterfield. Obviously, when what happened to Wigan come round, the staff that we had, one of my coaches is now first team coach at Chelsea, Anthony Barry. Nick Colgan, the goalkeeping coach, is now at Notts Forest. Andrew Proctor's head of physiotherapy at Blackburn. Nick Meese has gone to Stoke, and all of them with me blessing. You know, I resigned at Wigan for a reason. I didn't want them lads being out of work and waiting for me, because in management you never know if you're going to wait for a job or when your next job will come. Obviously then, when I was coming into Ipswich, it was going to be a change of management. You know, and management can be tough. We're very lucky at the club. You know, Andy Rolls has come in as head of performance and brought some staff in the sports science department, which I've got to tell you, some of the stuff that the players get now, I haven't even seen. That thorough on data, on injuries, on workload during the week, it's amazing. Within that, the football side of it was put together with Ian Craney coming in, who was previously the kit man at Wigan. That was only getting... Ian wasn't the kit man at Wigan, but it was the only job I could get him into the club in under the title. So that wasn't his job. Wigan had other kit men. Ian's around the players on the grass. He's such an infectious character who loves football. Franny Jeffers was a lad whose career I'd followed, who was coaching at Everton, and who I felt was ready to make the next step up. Gary Roberts is a lad who's played for me at my last 3 clubs, who's obviously very well known to Ipswich fans. Again, a lad who loves football. And what I feel from the football staff, especially, we've got to love football. With our players, we've got to be with them all the time. You know, today Gary's going through clips with Scott Fraser on positional play. Franny Jeffers is talking to the strikers about movement. Ian Craney's out with players doing passing. You know, we've got to make these players better footballers. Andy Rolls' department leads the physicality side of it. You know, there was a lot made of fitness last year, and I don't really feel a need to talk about last year. I genuinely don't think there's no point. I think tomorrow we'll worry about ourselves and how fit we can be, and we let the rest of the league get on with that. So in terms of staff now, I feel we're very, very strong. Assistant manager-wise, just to answer your question, after losing Liam and being so close to Liam, I didn't really feel the need to appoint someone as my assistant. I've got enough opinions and voices that I really trust around me. And I know, as Michael, the chairman, said, we will do everything we can to make our club successful. We will play our part. And if we don't, one day we might have to say goodbye to you, but letting you know we've done our best.
I can Mark, and talking about new signings, I mean, you've obviously been heavily involved in the signings, clearly. What's been your feeling from the players that have signed on the dotted line for Ipswich?
They've all wanted to run towards Ipswich, and this is the key. This is the key piece. We will only sign players and bring staff to this football club that are absolutely committed. Let's be real. We're not, Paul and I and Mike and our investors, we're not going to sign people that think Ipswich is a stop-off point to better things. Players and staff have to be committed, move to the area, be part of the community, because this football club is only going in one direction. And we will, as Mike said, bust a gut to make that happen. And the potential here is almost indescribable at times. And I've said before in the press, I don't want to put a lid on things. I don't want to say, well, we get to the Championship and it's great. No, why should we do that? There are clubs in the Premier League. There are clubs that Mike and I and Paula have been at before that are classed as big clubs. This is a bigger club. There is no limit to what we can do here. And the players who join this football club have to understand that. When they join, Paul does all of the technical and tactical and the football piece, which is great. I do the contractual piece and the financial piece, and we work really well together in relation to that. But the other piece that I do, which is really important, and we're doing it again, as I said, tomorrow morning with the lads as a collective, we talk about the culture and what it means to the community if you are going to join Ipswich Town Football Club as a player. Because if you join Ipswich Town Football Club as a player, you are signing up to something more than a player. You are signing up as a commitment to how you behave and conduct yourself and how you engage in this county. And I've had that conversation on a one-to-one with every player that we've signed. And we'll do it again tomorrow morning, as I've just said, on a collective. And that is so important. We think we have the opportunity to build something really special here. So if the players don't want to join up to that, I don't care how good they are, go somewhere else. Because if you come to this football club, you join a culture and a way of operating and a set of behaviours that you have to adhere to. And that standard, again, we are setting. And everyone we've signed thus far has run towards that kind of behaviours. And I think that's been absolutely fantastic.
So building stronger links with the community.
Absolutely. But it's a way of working. You've got to totally commit to what we're doing. Your way of life has got to commit to Andy Rolls and his performance. Because this isn't anymore, you come in the morning, you train, you go home, you turn up on a match day. I've been in this industry a really long time. And normally what happens at the end of in a close season, the CEO and the recruitment team are in, the manager comes in every other day and we have discussions around players. You don't really see the assistants and the coaching staff over the summer. Paul Cook and his staff have been in every single day, and I mean from 7:30 till 7:30, every single day. That's a standard and a commitment. And the players are asked to do this in a different way, do the same thing. And if we all keep doing that and working in that way, this football club can only go forward.
Okay, thank you for that. Another question over here, I think. Gentleman had his hand up.
Peter, probably Mr. Cook, and I'm wondering what happened to Portsmouth, who are in the same situation as us.
In terms of?
What are you getting at as far as Portsmouth are concerned?
Well, Portsmouth are in the same situation, a small town, large town, and they get there, but they never make it in the end. Can you tell me what happened there?
I can only tell you what happened when I left. I don't know what's happened since. I think again, listen, I think sometimes, and I will never speak disrespectfully about any other club. It's not right. Portsmouth is a fantastic football club. It's got a really strong fan base that in their hour of need, they kept their club going. You know, they would not let their club die. They put the money in, you know, to take over the club and to carry the club on till a point where Michael Eisner and American owners come in. You know, they're going into the 5th year in League One now. And as everyone knows, for big clubs, it's tough. You know, if you look at the Premier League today, I remember Leicester, Leeds, Wolves, all being in League One. Yeah, 4 or 5 years later, the Premier League teams. The important thing, like Mark said, I feel you must take steps forward. Sometimes your steps won't go as quickly as people want. You know, that's life. But if you keep taking steps forward, you know, you'll get where you want to be. So for Portsmouth, I always wish Portsmouth Football Club well. I had a lovely time down there. I enjoyed it. You know, we managed to win the league. I left after winning the league. You know, Kenny Jackets went in there. They've obviously changed to Danny Cowley. And again, good luck to them, to their supporters. They'll be, you know, trying so hard to gain success, as will Sunderland and Sunderland fans, as will Sheffield Wednesday, and they've come in. You know, there's plenty of other teams. I feel Rotherham will be a good team this year. They're a very strong team, well organised. But my only concern in this table's game is Ipswich Town. You know, we've just got to concentrate on ourselves, getting the little things right, the players right. You know, I always think as a manager, the best feeling you can have at the end of a game is watching your supporters clap you off a pitch. And I tell the players all the time, you don't have to win football games to be clapped off. You have to show your fans you can't give any more for this team. And that's what we'll try and do.
Good for you.
Age-old dilemma for a manager, Paul, is, you know, you want to play great football, people want to be off their seats watching it and cheering it on, but you've got to get results as well. Quite a dilemma.
It's quite funny because as you come into management, all different managers will tell you stuff and certain stuff stays with you. Do you know, one was you never used to change a winning team, wasn't it? You know, but that seems to happen quite a lot. You know, if you're playing well, the results will come. There's so many different things. I just believe that we work very hard on the training ground. I just think we work so hard on the training ground that Portman Road becomes our stage to play at the end of the week. And if we can replicate on the training ground what we want to do on Portman Road, the reality is Saturday becomes the best day in the week for us. We've got our home supporters in, they're all behind us, and we're going to play good football and win. If we don't, our supporters know 23 league games at home. We mightn't win them all, we won't win every one, we might draw a few, but we'll certainly win more than we lose this season, that's for sure.
Okay, thank you, Paul. More questions, hopefully. Yeah, we've got one gentleman over here. Excuse me a sec. Right. All yours.
Hi, I'm Ed. This is probably for Mike and Mark. If you've been a season ticket holder at this club for the last 20 years, like I have, the overall experience hasn't been entirely positive. That's probably an understatement. I suppose I'm interested to know, medium to long term, what are the club looking at doing in terms of re-engaging more with season ticket holders? There have been times when certainly I felt as a season ticket holder taken for granted that my support was assumed, and very little other than a plastic card coming through the post, like mine did this morning, that there was much else with the club to feel part of a community or a network. And you look at a lot of other professional clubs and in other sports where you get a considerable amount extra for your season ticket on top of that, benefits, but also feeling part of a network. So I'm really interested to know what can be done more to engage existing season ticket holders in the medium to long term.
I think there are probably 3 or 4 ways to answer that question. If we start with facilities, you will have heard me talk in the last couple of weeks about, I do have a frustration of the condition that parts, if not all of the stadium are in right now. And I think, you know, we have a responsibility to bring the stadium back to life and to increase drastically the supporters' match day experience, whether that's food, whether that's drink, whether that's queuing times, whether that's cleanliness, whether that's atmosphere, whether that's fan zones, etc., etc. It's an entertainment business, and you know, we must not take supporters' purchases in any way, shape or form for granted, whether that's in retail, whether that's tickets, whether that's in the bars or the food. We've got to make sure that the fans have an outstanding experience, win, lose or draw, when they come to Portman Road. And that's going to take a little bit of time. We've already done an initial review of the stadium, and we have a list longer than this table of things that need to be done. Mike came in today, went and walked round and added about another 50 things to the list. So I think you've got the physical things that we need to get better at delivering. But then we've got on the other side, we've got communication, and we need to make sure that we understand supporters' needs. We need to communicate with them better. We need to do more events such as we're holding tonight. And I just think it's an all-round approach. It's not taking fans for granted, and it's communicating with them, working with them, delivering better facilities, delivering value for money. And if we can top that off with a team that's winning on the pitch, then we'll all be happy. I can promise you that Mike and myself certainly don't take fans for granted, but it's something we've got to work at.
Can I add a couple of things to that? Very much the same vein, but for me, it's about listening And these events are fabulous because we get a chance to gauge what you're all thinking. And we see some of that from social media too. Yes, we do read them. And they're very valuable because they guide in terms of, we learn then what's really upsetting you or what you'd love to see us do to fix things. Queuing for drinks at half-time, yes, I know about that. And we can't fix it just yet because we've got a relationship with a third party and they're responsible for the staff, we're not. But we can fix that over time. So I think listening is critical. And I'm going to come back to that emotional word again, because you could argue that season ticket holders are customers of a football club. And I suppose if you work it back to the bare bones, yeah, that's right. But it's more than that, because you all invest emotion as well as pounds and pennies into the relationship you have with the football club. And so do we. And I've said all the time that we're trying to get emotion out of our decision making so that we can be logical and clean and absolutely crystal clear about getting decisions right. But in our relationship with you, there's tons of emotion, and I don't want to take that away at all. In fact, I want to build on it because that emotion makes the relationship between us more powerful. So that's my 3 pennyworths.
And just to touch on that, we were in a meeting first thing this morning discussing supporter services and how we can offer better service to supporters. Just give us a little bit of time. As we said, 40 days have been here, and I'll be honest with you, my focus was having one eye on the business and making sure that the COVID protocols in place, the season tickets are delivered, retail's moving forward, we've got the stadium fit for purpose, or at least fit to open, everything's gone into the transfer window. Once we're through that, I promise you we'll start to look at all the other areas, but we will not take supporters and season ticket holders for granted.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Couple more questions perhaps. We've got time for at least 2 more. I'll just come past you once again. Sorry about that. Thank you. Right, let's just...
There's a gentleman at the front who's had his hand in the air for a long time.
Okay.
I think he wants a toilet, actually.
This is probably a question for Mark, but it's, you talk about listening to the fans, creating an atmosphere in the ground. I'm sure everyone here knows of Blue Action and all the great work they've been doing and the displays, etc. It's been said that they've been told they can't do any more displays, so to speak, for the near future, especially the first home game of the season. And it's just wanted to know your thoughts and reassurance that they'll be able to continue the great work they've been doing.
Can I take that one, because I've been involved directly? It's not true we want to stop them at all. In fact, we've tried to bend over backwards to help them to get seating together so they can be more effective, and we've tried to move them a little bit more centrally where we can without upsetting lots of other fans in the process. It's also true to say that at the moment, with COVID restrictions and also with all of the work going on in the stadium, we weren't able to assist them to get in as early as they would like to do all of the things they want to do. We're trying to repaint every single yellow line in this stadium between now and next Saturday. We're trying to repaint every white line in this stadium too, to freshen it up. There are lots of workers out there cleaning seats. The seats haven't been cleaned for nearly 2 years, and there's a lot of seagulls in Ipswich. And given that, it's really important that the people we've employed to help us fix all of those issues don't get messed around or don't get prevented from doing the jobs we've asked them to do by lots of stuff being out on the seats. So we want to get the initial cleaning, the initial refresh done, and then once those workmen are out of the stadium, then it's much easier for Blue Action to do the things they want to do. We've also got to be aware that having lots of great big flags that are manhandled overhead, that's not great when it comes to COVID spreading. So we're a little bit worried about that. But there's a dialogue. I personally have met with the 3 or 4 leaders of that group and talked to them about what they want to achieve. And we're very supportive of the fact that the atmosphere they create is a value to the team. So we absolutely understand it, but you'd be surprised in football clubs, everything sounds really easy and straightforward, and quite often there are things that you don't see straight away that actually can be an issue, and there's some of that with some of the things they would like to do now, but I'm sure over the season they'll be just as effective and just as part of the atmosphere as they always have been.
Just to pick up on what Mike said on the one point, one of the real challenges we've got at the moment, we're still in a pandemic. We're still under COVID restrictions. We've been debating this today through, the Premier League have issued, I think, a note in the last few days to say in the Premier League, no one on pitch other than players, referees and officials. Pitches and the surrounding areas are designated red zones. Other areas of the stadiums are designated in other categories. We're not through this pandemic yet. And it is a challenge, and I think we're all absolutely delighted that fans can come back in, but we've got to get this right. And I would just say, just bear with us. Mike's absolutely right. We really value what Blue Action does, and we will work with them for sure. But this is a challenge. Be under no illusion getting fans back into the stadiums as safely as we possibly can.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Gentleman at the front here.
Yeah, welcome to the club. My name's George. I've got a question for two quick questions, one football quick. Last season, the difference between the training and this season, is there a lot more hard work goes into this season to get to the next stage, which we tried to get to the Championship? And the second question is for Mike and Mark. Since the beginning of working at this club and between now, how does the owners and yourself, with the transfers coming in, how do they feel about that? And we definitely need the scoreboard.
Great question.
I think first of all on the question of the training schedule, I think one of the pre-requirements to be a footballer today is you must be fit. Footballers now, if you want to be a good footballer, you have to sacrifice. You can't just say, well, I can do the normal stuff and be a footballer. Last year, one of the worst or the most disappointing days I had was in the first free week that we had. I wanted to train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to work on stuff. After we'd done 2 sessions on the Monday, lads weren't able to train again on the Tuesday. They were all breaking down. The physios informed me very quickly, we can't train like that again. So it was quite ironic that for whatever reason, the club, the players have been allowed to become unfit. It's football. I don't know whether that's through a lot of injuries, a lot of changes in teams, there's a host of reasons. Obviously now, the requirements for us is to maintain the 18s, the 23s, the first team, and to buy in to be a footballer. Nowadays, it's nutrition, it's sleeping habits, it's everything. You can't just, we all want to be fit. I want to be fit. You've got to work hard. I don't want to work hard. That's why I'm not as fit. But for the players now, we have a strict programme. It really is. And the players, as Mark alluded to before, they know all about this before they sign into it. If we want to be successful this year, we've got to be bang at it all the time. So from that side of it now going forward, whatever worries we might have about the team, I don't see fitness being one of them.
My staff push me every day on a big screen, and our colleagues in the US have mentioned it more than several times, and it's something that we'd like to see and will happen. Where we put it, I'll give you an example. It's like just trying to put all the pieces to a jigsaw together. So one of the things that we looked at early on was did we relay the track around the pitch this summer? Well, actually, if we're going to do the pitch next season and put under siling, the track would have to then come back up. And now at the same time, we probably will sort out the corner here for access and egress into the stadium. So we put a big screen in there now. In 9 months, we're going to be taking the big screen down. So what we're going to actually do is almost put a programme of works in place so we can step through that. But I think in the very near future, there will be a big screen coming into the stadium. Steve Pearce is giving me funny looks now because it's something he talks to me about every single day. I think the team are also looking at the potential of a mobile screen going into the fan zone. There's so many things happening behind the scenes. To go back to the gentleman's point about valuing season ticket holders and valuing supporters, there's so many different things that we want to do. And we are very aware that this is now on our watch. Just give us a little bit of time. We're on it. I promise you, things will happen. As Mike has said, it is taking a bizarre amount of time just to sort out the cleaning of the stadium to make sure it is fit and proper for the first game. But I think all your points are really well made.
Do you want to talk about communicating with the Americans?
Communicating with the US is great on the transfers. They push me every day, so obviously they're aware of who we're signing. We talk regularly. The three Lions, Ed Schwartz, Mark Steed, they're absolutely fantastic. They give me a little bit of stick about hurrying up, get some of these players in, stop messing about. What are you doing, Mark? You've been in 40 days, you're not signing enough players.
They're watching tonight, by the way.
They'll be watching tonight, and I wish they were here because they would want to communicate to you directly and let you see the whites of their eyes. They're really good people. They want to do the right thing. As much as they push me as how we develop on the pitch and the players they sign, trust me, they push me on the culture, doing the right thing. Is the stadium right? Are we engaging in the community? We're in a pandemic which makes travel a little bit difficult. You'll get to meet them all. They're fantastic guys and totally committed to taking your football club forward and back to where it should be.
Thank you very much indeed. It's been a fantastic evening. I'm sure you thoroughly enjoyed the last hour. Thank you all for turning out. Because of the protocol with coronavirus, I'm afraid we're not going to be able to let you get signatures and chat to Paul, Mark and Mike. So we can't do that, I'm afraid, but there will be another time, I'm sure. These are going to become regular events, the fans forums, because tonight's has gone really well and we appreciate your support. So please...
What I'd like to do is be speaking to Steve about it. I don't want us to wait till we're winning and then come and put a fans forum in. So pre-Christmas, we will put another fans forum in. We'll put a slot in. We'll get it in the next couple of weeks so everyone knows when it's coming up. And again, due to numbers, we'll stream so we can open it up for as many people as we want. But our commitment is to get these events in, get them planned in the diary so supporters know that they're coming along.
An exciting new era for this great football club. Could you please give our three guests a big round of applause this evening? Mark, Mike and Paul.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. Thank you. It's been a real pleasure hosting this for you. Hopefully we can do it again very soon. In the meantime, I wish you a safe journey home and hopefully see you all here on Saturday for our friendly against Millwall. Bye for now.
Thank you. Well done.
Steve, I'm going to make tracks.